Hi girls, with you your favorite psychologist and blogger Ruslan and INFAPORTPSYCHOLOGY channel. Today we have on our agenda one of the most discussed topics. Why are men so afraid of serious relationships? Many women wonder why men are so adamant about avoiding commitment. What scares them about the word relationship? Things seem to be going well, but when it comes to taking serious steps, the backsliding begins. Sound familiar? Stay with us until the end of the video to find out what really makes men afraid of serious relationships and how you can overcome these fears. I assure you, there will be a lot of interesting things to learn. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in the relationship game with a guy who just doesn't want to commit? You're not alone. It's an old-as-the-world story. You meet a great guy, a spark runs between you. But as soon as you start talking about taking the relationship to the next level, bam! He's gone. Why does it always seem like men run everywhere when a relationship gets serious? Is it in their DNA or some secret code passed down from generation to generation of men? Don't worry, because in this video we dive deep into the male psyche to uncover the true reasons why men fear commitment. We're going to talk about how to shatter these age-old myths and get to the core of what drives men. Let's be honest, dating can be a minefield. Just when you thought you had found your soulmate, something happens and you are perplexed as to what went wrong. Fear of responsibility? The terrible marriage syndrome? Or are they just arranged differently? We're going to separate fact from fiction and get to the bottom of why commitment seems to be such a scary word for many men. We're going to look at the social, psychological, and even evolutionary factors that contribute to their fear of commitment. Remember, men have feelings too, even if they don't always show them. By getting to the root of their fears, we can begin to break down those walls and build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. So, if you're tired of playing relationship games and are ready to find a man who is set on a serious relationship, buckle up. This video is your guide to the complex world of male commitment. Stay tuned because it's going to be an exciting ride. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any juicy ideas that come your way. So, let's dive right into the first myth we're fighting today. Men are commitment-phobic, who are afraid of losing their precious freedom. You know how it is? Once a relationship gets serious, they begin to feel trapped, like a wild stallion being tamed. But here's the thing, ladies. It's not about freedom itself. For men, freedom is often synonymous with independence, autonomy, and the ability to make their own choices. They are afraid of becoming someone they don't recognize. The stereotypical battered husband who's lost his touch. But here's the rubber: healthy relationship doesn't have to feel like a cage. It's about finding someone who completes your life, not ends it. Let's move on to another classic myth. Men are afraid of commitment because they're not ready for the responsibility of family life. While some men may not be cut out for fatherhood, and that's okay. For many, it's not about being afraid to change diapers or take their kids to school. Society places a huge responsibility on men to be breadwinners, protectors, and all-around superheroes once they become husbands and fathers. The pressure of being the breadwinner, the jack of all trades, the emotional rock, can be overwhelming even for a very capable guy. But here's the thing. Times change. More and more couples are redefining traditional gender roles and sharing responsibilities in a more equitable way. It's not about expecting men to be superheroes. It's about building partnerships where both men feel supported and empowered. Now let's talk about the myth that men are inherently selfish and incapable of putting someone else's needs above their own. This myth often stems from the fact that men and women tend to express their needs and emotions differently. Men are often taught to be resilient and independent, which can sometimes seem emotionally unavailable or even selfish. But here's the truth. Men are quite capable of deep love, empathy, and selflessness. So before you jump to the conclusion that your boyfriend is just a selfish jerk, take a moment to think about how he expresses his love and care. There you have it, ladies. 3 common myths about men and commitment. Debunked. Remember, understanding is the key. By challenging these stereotypes and having open, honest conversations with the men in our lives, we can begin to break down the walls of fear and build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. So, ladies, let's face it, we all know that men love their private time. But sometimes this need for independence can be mistaken for a fear of commitment. When a man sees a relationship getting serious, he may instinctively begin to worry about losing his ego. He may fear that his life will revolve solely around his partner's needs and desires, leaving no room for his own. But here's the thing. Wanting to maintain your independence doesn't make you a person afraid of commitment. We all need our space, both men and women. The key is to find a partner who understands and respects this need. Let's face it, ladies, relationships can be messy. Sometimes they end, and when it's over, it feels like the world is falling apart. But here's the thing. While some people bounce back from heartbreak relatively easily, others carry the scars with them for a very, very long time. Just because they don't always put their hearts out there, doesn't mean they don't feel the pain of a breakup as deeply as women do. In fact, for some men, past relationship trauma can be a major deterrent to commitment. It's not that he doesn't want to be happy, he's just afraid of getting hurt again. So, ladies, let's talk about the elephant in the china shop. Money. We all know that finances can be a major source of stress in a relationship, and for some men, it can even be a stumbling block when it comes to commitment. There is a lot of societal pressure on men to be breadwinners. I'm not saying that all men are afraid of commitment because they are cheapskates who don't want to share their wealth. But for some guys, especially those who have struggled financially in the past or who haven't yet reached their financial goals, the thought of taking financial responsibility for a partner and possibly a family can be overwhelming. It's about wanting to be a strong, reliable partner who can take care of things. Let's be honest, ladies. We live in a world obsessed with perfect relationships. Social media is constantly bombarding us with images of happy couples, romantic trips, and extravagant displays of love. They see these idealized versions of the relationship and may start to worry that they can't live up to the hype. The truth is that those perfect relationships we see online are often just a carefully curated snapshot of reality. It's about finding someone who accepts you for who you are, with all your flaws. We've covered a lot today, ladies, from the fear of losing independence to the burden of financial responsibility. But here's the thing. Sometimes, a man's reluctance to commit goes even deeper. For some men, especially those who haven't had much opportunity to explore their emotional side, the very idea of opening up to another person, being vulnerable and sharing your deepest fears and insecurities can be terrifying. So guys, let's talk about peer pressure. We all know it doesn't magically disappear when you graduate. In fact, when it comes to relationships, the pressure from society, family, and even our buddies can sometimes feel like a pressure cooker. Just because your buddy has a mortgage and a minivan doesn't mean you have to go down the same path. The key is to figure out what you really want, not what everyone else expects of you. Now let's get a little more personal. How many of you grew up with a certain idea of what a relationship should look like based on your parents' marriage? Maybe they had the kind of solid fairy tale romance everyone dreams of. Or maybe, like many families, your family has had its share of ups and downs, fights, and maybe even a breakup or two. Our childhood experiences, especially the relationships we witnessed as children, can have a huge impact on how we view love, commitment, and even our own ability to make relationships work. The good news is that just because you witnessed relationship chaos growing up doesn't mean you're destined to repeat the same mistakes. You have the power to break those vicious circles, learn from their experiences, and create something different for yourself. So guys, it's time to talk about the bro code. You know, that unspoken set of rules that dictates how guys interact with each other? These conversations may seem harmless, but they can create a culture in which commitment is seen as something to be avoided, as if it was some kind of weakness or a threat to your masculinity. It's all fun and games until someone starts to have feelings. Then things can get a little complicated. Think about it. How often do you hear your friends joke about being under the thumb or lassoed when they're in a relationship? Or brag about being still in the game while their friends are getting married? These conversations may seem harmless, but they can create a culture in which commitment is seen as something to be avoided, as if it was some kind of weakness or a threat to your masculinity. Here's the thing. True friends support each other, even if it means going against the grain of the bro code. They understand that your happiness is more important than maintaining some outdated idea of what it means to be a man. So if your friends are giving you crap for wanting a serious relationship, it might be time to have a heart-to-heart talk. Tell them you're happy for them and their single life, but you're ready for something different. So guys, let's talk about feelings. I know, this isn't exactly our favorite topic. But here's the thing. Emotional intimacy is an important part of any meaningful relationship. And for some of us, that's much easier said than done. From a young age, boys are taught to be tough and emotionally reserved. We are told not to show weakness. Emotional armor prevents us from establishing deep connections. We miss out on the intimacy that makes relationships valuable. Let's talk about control, guys. No, not the one you have above your TV remote. Although, let's be honest, that's important too. I'm talking about the need to feel like you are in charge of your own life, making decisions, taking charge, and generally being the captain of your own ship. It's a natural human desire, isn't it? Чувствовать, что у тебя есть право голоса в том, как складывается твоя жизнь. But sometimes that need for control can turn into something less healthy. A fear of letting go, of giving in to the unpredictability of life, and, yes, even love. Когда отношения становятся серьезными, это неизбежно вносит сумятицу в наши тщательно продуманные планы. Suddenly, there is another person to consider, another set of needs and wants, and many more compromises are required. And for some guys, it can feel like a loss of control, like their world has gone off its axis. Here's the thing. Love is not control. It's about surrendering, letting go of the need to control every aspect of your life and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be surprised, and, yes, even a little scared. Okay guys, it's time to dig deep real quick. We've all heard the phrase, daddy issues, usually in jest or to explain someone's relationship problems. But here's the thing. Our relationship with our fathers, or lack thereof, can have a profound impact on how we approach romantic relationships later in life. Think about it. Our fathers are often our first role models for what it means to be a man, a partner, and a father themselves. We learn about love, respect, communication, and loyalty by watching them interact with our mothers and with us. А иногда эти ранние уроки могут быть чертовски запутанными. Maybe your father was an aloof figure, emotionally unavailable, and physically absent for much of your childhood. Such experiences can make it difficult for you to trust others, feel worthy of love, or believe that long-term, loving relationships are even possible. Or maybe your father was the complete opposite. Bossy, controlling, and prone to criticism. This environment can leave you feeling depressed, resentful, and afraid of ending up in a relationship where you feel trapped or overwhelmed. Let's be realistic, guys. We've all been there. You're scrolling through your Instagram feed, minding your own business, when suddenly, bam! You're inundated with engagement photos, wedding announcements, and those sickeningly adorable couple selfies. And suddenly you start doubting everything in your life. Why haven't I found the one yet? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not successful enough? Not attractive enough? Not funny enough? It's as if we are programmed to compare ourselves to others, especially when it comes to relationships. We hear a friend talking about his amazing girlfriend, what a stunning beauty she is, cooks like a Michelin-starred chef, and gives the best massage known to mankind. And while we are genuinely happy for him, or at least pretend to be, some part of us can't help but feel a pang of envy, and maybe even a bit of self-doubt. It's like the old saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy. We begin to focus on what we don't have, what we lack, instead of appreciating the good that is in our own lives. And that's a surefire way to sabotage a relationship if I've ever seen one. Social media envy. The effect of slicing the best moments. Давайте немного поговорим о социальных сетях, ребята. I love a good meme as much as any other guy, but we have to be realistic about its impact on our mental health, especially when it comes to relationships. Here's the thing. Social media is basically a snapshot of the best moments from everyone's life. Solid sunshine and rainbows, perfectly filtered photos and carefully chosen captions designed to make us believe everyone else is living their best lives while we stand in traffic, eat cold pizza, and wonder where it all went wrong. We see these perfect couples traveling the world, enjoying romantic candlelit dinners and exchanging expensive gifts, and we begin to feel that our own relationships pale in comparison. But here's the thing. We don't see the fights, the insecurities, the doubts, the compromises, the enormous effort it takes to make a relationship work, all the messy, complicated, and often un-Instagrammable moments of real life. So how do we break out of this comparison trap and stop letting social media mess with our heads? Well, it all starts with a healthy dose of reality checks. Remember guys, what you see on social media is not always what it really is. It is an edited version of reality designed to present the best possible image, not necessarily the most accurate. Those seemingly perfect couples you compare yourself to? They fight about money, arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes, and get annoyed by each other's annoying habits like everyone else. So the next time you browse your Instagram feed, feel that familiar prick of envy. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that you are only seeing a tiny part of the story. Focus on cultivating your own happiness, make meaningful connections in real life, and create relationships that bring you fulfillment, even if they don't get likes on Instagram. Вот в чем дело, ребята, когда речь заходит о любви и отношениях, не существует универсального подхода. What works for your buddy, your brother, or that guy you subscribe to on Instagram may not work for you, and that's totally fine. The key is to find what works for you. Trust your intuition, and stop letting fear of judgment or societal pressure dictate your choices. Remember guys, you are not your relationship status. Your value as a man does not depend on whether you are single, dating, or married and have children. It comes from within, from your values, your passions, your contribution to this world. So embrace your own path, folks. Don't be afraid to take risks, to show up, to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, to learn and grow. Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. Develop them, nurture them, and everything else will fall into place. Alright, that's it guys. We've spent the last few minutes delving into the male psyche, exploring the fears, insecurities, and societal pressures that can make commitment feel like stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson. We debunk myths about men being allergic to anything serious, exposed the maelstrom of vulnerability that can ruin lives and break perfectly normal relationships, and dealt with the social media monster that constantly whispers sweet nothings of inferiority in our ears. But here's the most important conclusion. You're not alone in this. Every guy, whether he's an eloquent CEO or a self-proclaimed commitment-phobe, has wrestled with these fears at some point in his life. It's part of what makes us human, guys. The key is to realize that these fears, no matter how strong, don't have to control us. We have the power to choose how to respond, to challenge those limiting beliefs, and create a different scenario for ourselves. Now what? Well, first of all, pat yourself on the shoulder for taking the time to understand yourself a little better. Self-awareness is the first step to growth, and you, my friend, have just taken a giant step forward. Now it's time to take action. Start by challenging those limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Are you letting past relationship baggage dictate your future? Do you follow societal expectations that are not in line with your values? Do you allow fear to masquerade as freedom? Remember guys, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to relationships. What works for your body may not work for you, and that's totally fine. Ключ в том, чтобы выяснить, чего вы хотите, что действительно делает вас счастливым, а затем добиваться этого изо всех сил. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to show up, to take risks, so you don't get hurt. Because here's the thing, love is messy, it's unpredictable, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But damn, she's worth it. And hey, if you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button on our INFAPORT Psychology channel and the notification bell so you don't miss future wise relationship advice. Put likes and share this video with your friends. Let them learn that fears are just obstacles that can be overcome. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts, experiences, and burning questions about relationships in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going, guys. See you later.